Illini basketball, the carousel continues of this roster. We had 2 transfer announcements this week. One of them was very much expected. The other one I kind of saw coming. The rumors had cooled off a little bit over the last month, but RJ Melendez announced that he is transferring. He is in the portal or going to be in the portal after 2 years at Illinois. Like I said, middle of January, it looked like a foregone conclusion. He was not playing well. That's putting it lightly. He was playing terribly. Then the last 2-3 weeks, of he flipped the switch. I always mess that term up. He flipped the switch and really put in a couple good weeks, especially in the postseason. And people thought maybe, he played well at the end of the year. Maybe he does stick around. Brad really spoke highly of him at the end of the season. Did not turn out to be the case. RJ announced that he is entering the portal. He averaged 6 points, 3.5 rebounds, and 0.9 assists on 37.6% shooting this season. Stats, 3-point field goals, 26.4%. That is not ideal. Not good. Rough year for RJ. He did start 18 of the 32 games. Brad stuck with him. You can't blame this staff for this one. They gave RJ every opportunity. Even when no one wanted him to get those opportunities, they stuck by him. Just wasn't working.
This is one of those topics that I wish I would have made notes of throughout the week, because I've had various thoughts that have come up about RJ, and now none of them are going to come out very fluidly because I'm not really thinking about it. But yes, this staff gave RJ all the chances in the world. Brad was, I thought, incredibly supportive of RJ. Some players and some coaches, when a player goes through what RJ went through for most of this season, some coaches would just bench that player. It would just be it. Like, you're struggling. You can't figure it out. We have other players that can do this. You're not going to see the floor. That is not what happened with RJ Melendez. RJ Melendez, shy of the suspension he suffered for like a game or whatever, at what point, he was on the court every game. He was thrown into the starting lineup several times. As you talked about, I believe he was thrown back into the starting lineup when Jaden Epps went down with his concussion. Brad kept going to RJ. He kept going to him over and over and over and over again. I know that the one game that sticks out to me, I mean, I think he was the one that took the shot against Indiana at the end. I know people were up in arms about that. Why is he the one taking that shot? I backed him then. I backed that decision. I was fine with that in that particular moment, because I do believe RJ Melendez is one of the better shooters on this team. I have been one of RJ's biggest online supporters the last 2 years. I think that I was one of those people in the camp that thought he could have had a sophomore breakout. Clearly that didn't happen. I would love to see him stay. But with all that being said, I think this is probably the right decision for both parties. When it comes down to it, yes, the kid, I do still believe, has a lot of talent and could be a beneficial piece. But it's been 2 years, and we just haven't really gotten much out of him on a consistent basis. He's shown flashes at times his first 2 years. There has been moments this last 2 years where he's looked like one of the best few players on the team. But from a consistency standpoint, it just hasn't been there. Grand scheme, bigger scheme of this is the fact that this is yet another it's another loss. Regardless of who the player is and what the player does on the court, in this day and age, you need to be able to find some sort of consistency. And this is just another example. Another brick in the wall. I mean, it is what it is. It sucks. And, hopefully he figures it out and has success wherever he goes. But that one is going to sting a little bit. Now, it's April 4th, and the transfer portal situation is going to be going
Got a long
on
way to go
for quite some time. So a lot of things could still happen.
Yep.
But that was a piece that you would have liked to have seen stay.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, right before, like preseason last year, I believe it was on this podcast, as we do every year, we were like, who are you most excited about in the freshman class, or who do you think has the highest ceiling of the freshman class?
Yeah.
I think we both said RJ.
Yeah.
Of RJ, it was RJ, Luke Goody, and I believe Pajimski, who 2 of the 3 are now gone. I think it was clear cut. RJ had the highest ceiling. He's the most athletic. Wasn't the best shooter. Goody was the best. Well, we thought Goody was the best shooter. It looks like Pajimski's the best shooter now. But we both agreed that RJ had the potential to turn into a go-to guy, a college double-figure scorer, 7-8 rebounds. Just it didn't pan out. He started 1 game last year, but he averaged like 3 points last year. Like he didn't blow people away last year, and he didn't start doing anything till late in the year last year, and it just didn't click this year. Just didn't click. Yeah, like you said, it's going to sting a little bit, but I think a lot of people saw this coming. The other transfer is, I think most people expected, and it's not that big of a loss. Brandon Lieb announced that he is transferring. He played 3 years at Illinois, played in 31 total games, 16 of those this season, 0.9 points a game. Just did not contribute anything on the court during the regular season. He got valuable practice time, going against Kofi and Dane and all those guys. So wherever he lands, I'm sure he's looking to play. So he's probably going to go down a level so he can play a la Jermaine Hamlin type situation. So that's not a super big loss. But at that point, as it stood, 7 players currently on the roster.
Yes.
7 players.
Correct.
After this, they're currently on the roster. 4 of those contributed this season. Well, yeah, 4 of those contributed this season because I'm just going to wrap it all together. About an hour ago, Sencire Harris did announce he is officially coming back. Volume 2, as Logan would say, because like hours after Illinois lost to Arkansas, he put out the tweet, I'm locked in 100%, I'm staying. And then hours later it was deleted, which caused some concern. But I was tipped off to this morning by someone that he was going to make an announcement today, and he did that about 5 o'clock Eastern time. So Sencire is back. So there is 7 confirmed players coming back. We didn't hear anything from Ty Rodgers, but I 100% expect him to be back. I don't know that he's a guy to make an announcement like this, which we've talked about last week. It's crazy that everyone has to make an announcement now. I'm coming back or I'm going, but I don't think we'll see anything from Ty. But I think he is back. So right now you've got Harris, Goody, Rodgers, and Danger, 4 guys officially coming back to be on the team next year. You've got Coleman Hawkins and Terrence Shannon. Hawkins is declared for the draft while maintaining his college eligibility. We have not heard a peep out of Terrence Shannon. So there's 6 right there if you count them. And then you have your 3 freshmen in Amani Hansberry, Dre Gibbs Lawhorn, and Nicolo Moretti. So 9 if you count them. That's without taking any transfers. How you feeling after the last 2 days?
I mean, most of it was kind of expected. I will say about the Brandon Lieb situation. This is the one thing I'll say. I'm not surprised, and he is probably doing the right thing for him. He's going to go somewhere where he has a chance to play more. That's ultimately what he wants to do. He got the experience he needed, whatever. I would have liked to see him stay for depth purposes.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because let's say hypothetically Coleman comes back. You already have Coleman. If you have Coleman and Dane and Hansberry as your post presence, I know the talk is that they need to add another post player, but I don't know where those minutes are going to come from. So I don't know. That's the only thing I'll say. I think that Lieb staying would have put you not necessarily in a better situation, but he's probably somebody that wasn't going to expect the minutes, maybe that a transfer might. Whatever. That's just nitpicking things. The Brandon Lieb thing, he's gone, and that's fine. Good for him. Sencire, happy that he's coming back. Like the energy he brought defensively. I think he has potential to be to do a little more offensively too. He was huge in certain games this year. He was non-existent in certain games. He was a freshman. Grand scheme, how do I feel? I mean, about the same, honestly, about where we were last week. I don't think any of this is surprising. The RJ thing, as you mentioned, I think, towards the end of the season, we thought he might be the type of player that would stay. It's still just the waiting game. It's still going to be the waiting game. This is the portal situation we live in. A lot of uncertainties out there. This team could be lower tier Big Ten. They could be Big Ten contender, and we have no idea what the roster is going to look like a month and a half from now, whenever portal stuff dies down. So we'll just have to see. Glad the guys are coming back that are coming back. You're right. I don't think we're going to see a full announcement from Ty Rodgers, but same thing for Luke Goody. I don't think Luke Goody was that type of person that was going to make a big announcement either. He just happened to go on the radio with Tay and Piper, and they asked him, and he told them. So I mean, if Ty Rodgers went on the radio with them and they asked him, he'd probably tell them too. So I don't think we're going to get a big announcement from him. I mean, we've talked about it. It's a point guard. You need a point guard. You need a shooter. You would maybe like to have another post presence, somebody with some size. But again, if Coleman comes back, I'm not sure where those minutes come from.
Right.
And then we'll just wait and see on the Shannon and Hawkins front. We just don't know, and we don't know who else is going to come up in the portal. So I don't know that my thoughts have really changed from where we were a week ago. The RJ thing sucks. Kind of saw it coming, kind of didn't. Move on. You move on. But the portal has been active.
Yeah, portal has been very active. I will say, looking at the roster as it's currently constructed and the depth chart for next year, I don't hate it as much as I thought.
No, I don't hate it.
Luke, Ty, I mean, you'd have to play a freshman, but with Sencire, Luke, Ty, Hansberry, and Dane, I don't hate that five. I really don't.
Say that again.
But Sencire, Goody, Ty, Hansberry, and Dane.
I mean, that's not a five that's going to win you a lot of basketball games.
No.
Okay, you're just saying those are the five that be back. I was like, okay.
Those are the five that are back.
Sure.
I will say, from what I hear, am pretty confident Terrence Shannon's coming back.
I've gathered some of that
Coleman
as well.
Hawkins seems leaning towards coming back as well. So you throw those two in there, you're getting pretty good. It's not as bad as we think.
I mean, I haven't taken the two of them off of my depth chart for right now.
I got them at the bottom.
So they're still there. And so when I'm looking at this lineup, I'm still looking at them. Obviously, the point guard thing is the biggest thing. If you get a big time point guard and you get Terrence and Coleman back, I mean, I think you're set up to contend. I don't know if you're winning the Big Ten, but I think you got a pretty good shot. I mean, it's not that much different from what we had last year. So don't know what you're going to get out of your new freshman. Obviously, injuries come into play here. But as of right now, if Shannon and Hawkins come back and nobody else leaves, you have 8 rotational pieces that you can go into the season with. You'd like to have 10. One of those is going to be a point guard. The other one, TBD. Could be a shooter, could be a post, could be another point guard. Who knows? But I mean, the Shannon and Hawkins thing will be big. Why hasn't Terrence Shannon declared yet? We don't know. That's not been established. I don't know, and I'm sure we'll find out soon what he's doing. Those announcements are coming out on a daily basis. So he'll probably make his announcement soon. I would still venture to guess that he's going to announce that he's going to test the NBA waters and maintain his
Did
eligibility.
he do that last year though?
I don't
Can't do it
know.
twice.
I honestly, I don't know. Did he?
I don't remember. That's why I'm
I don't
asking.
remember what he did.
I
I
don't
don't feel
remember if
like
I don't remember if he just
don't
said
know.
I'm transferring or if he did the NBA transfer portal, because
That's a
that's
great
the
question.
conversation we had with Kofi.
Yeah.
Was once he did it a second time, he was done.
Yeah.
I don't know if that has changed with the new portal and the NBA just signed a new CBA and all that. I don't know if that's changed, but my thought is, why hasn't Shannon declared yet? This is from Jay. Question from the chat. If you're in here, get in the chat, get some questions for us. One is that he's just coming back. There's no reason to declare if you're going to do that. Or two is that he's still just gathering the information, what he should do.
Yeah.
I think those are the two options. Well, Coach Steve, we'll get to you in a second because he's asking about the portal. And speaking of the portal, pretty big week, pretty big 3 days in the portal. We'll just start with the biggest one of them all. Logan's favorite man, Hunter Dickinson, Michigan big man, Hunter Dickinson is in the transfer portal. What is happening in Ann Arbor?
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, that was a big surprise. The Hunter situation, though, I mean, Michigan, they're not really winning. They're losing their other good players, and I don't know. I don't know what his reasoning is. But clearly he wants to go somewhere where he thinks he can make more money and win. And he's going to want to play with a true point guard, somebody that can get him the ball. We've seen that in a few Big Ten teams this year. Post players who are National Player of the Year candidates at times struggle to get the ball thrown to them. I don't know. I don't know what Hunter's going to do. I would venture to guess he's going to go east, get closer to home. I believe he's from the DC, Virginia area, something like that, Maryland. I would guess he goes there. I could see him going to a place like Kentucky. If Oscar leaves, I could see Cal getting in there and say, hey, we can bring in here, make a shit ton of money and get you a National Player of the Year.
Whoa, language.
Sorry. Let's just throw it out there too. I don't think he's ruling out Illinois. I don't. And that's not happening. I'm not going to sit on this show and tell you he's coming to Illinois. He's not. I can say almost with certainty he's not coming to Illinois. But you and I did have this conversation offline today. He clearly stated, like, you know, he'll listen, and I think
he'll listen to anyone.
Yeah. If Illinois gets a point guard, why not? It's not happening. I'm just firing it up. I'm just firing you up. I'm firing Steve up. I'm firing anybody up. Why not? It's not happening. I'll just say it now. Like it's not happening. But why not?
If Coleman, Terrence, and Dane all come back, you can only play two of them at a time.
I mean,
you can play all three of them. But if you add Hunter, like where does he fit?
He doesn't fit. He only fits if Dane leaves.
Yes. So, Illinois needs a backup.
What would you rather have? What would you rather have? Hunter for 1 year or Dane for 2 more years?
Exactly. There's no room for Hunter at Illinois. After all this, well, you've already said this. After all the shit he said about Illinois, if he comes to Illinois, I mean, I try to root for anyone that's wearing the uniform, but I just don't know that I could do that. I really don't.
Sports, man. Sports. He's just playing the villain, dude. Like that's just all he's doing. Like he's not my favorite person. I know you were joking when you said that. He's not my favorite person. Mm-hmm. And I again do not think he's coming to Illinois. But like if he did, like why not? Why not? Anyway, move on. There's other people that
I don't know
that might actually be better fits.
I don't know which one's bigger. Max Asmus from Oral Roberts, who led are they the Screaming Eagles or Golden Eagles or something like that?
You should know these things. I
think it's Golden Eagles. That's my thing. That's my dozen trivia niche. He is in the portal, averaged like 20 points his first 3 years. And Baylor guard LJ Cryer, also in the portal, which you stole my tweet. I was going to tweet it and I didn't. The Waco to Champaign pipeline. It's been pretty good. Let's keep it going.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think LJ Cryer at the moment should be priority number uno for Brad Underwood. He played a little bit. He was more off the ball at Baylor because they had that three-headed guard monster with LJ Cryer, Flagler, and George. Is it Keontae George? Is that his
Yes.
name? The three of them are all very similar and are all kind of off-ball guards. But Cryer averaged 15 points a game this year, shot 45% from the field, and I believe 41% from three. Yeah, 41.5% from three, shot 46.8% from three last year. I mean, like I said, he was off ball, and all the reports out there on the Twitter sphere say he wants to be a point guard. So Brad would need to kind of hand the keys off to him as someone who hasn't always been a playmaking point guard. That's a little concerning, but the dude is exactly what you need. He's a guard that can get buckets, get his own shot, and facilitate an offense. And I don't know how you say no if he wants to come to Champaign. I think right now, what's out there, I think he should be top priority.
Yeah, I don't know that. I don't know if he's like the perfect fit for what Illinois needs. But considering what the options are likely going to be, considering all the circumstances surrounding him as a player, where he's coming from, who had recruited him in his past, the position that he plays, as good as he is as a shooter, the position that he wants to play, yes, I think he's the guy you need to go after. I would love to say they need to go out and get a true point guard, like Kyler's mentioning, like a Tiger Campbell. I'm not suggesting they need to go after Tiger Campbell, but like a true facilitating point guard. I think that is more important. However, you need somebody that can shoot. And depending on what happens again with Terrence and Coleman, I don't know how many roster spots you're going to have. Yes, there are still 4 scholarship spots open.
I was thinking about that today when I was doing the scholarship thing. There's
again,
if Coleman and Terrence come back, things shrink a lot more than we expected them to.
Right. You still have your 4 scholarships open at that point, but you really only have 2 rotational pieces.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know
There's 3 spots to fill.
Yeah, I don't know how that all fits. Yeah. So, yes, I would almost prefer they get a true facilitating point guard. But if it's not a true facilitating point guard that can also shoot the 3, I don't think I want him. I don't think that fits. If Terrence doesn't come back, you can open up more conversations. But if Terrence comes back, I think you're going to need to find somebody that can do both. And if you're given a little bit of one, I think Ty Rodgers is going to develop into a guy that can actually handle the ball. Yep. We've already talked about that a few times here. I'm not saying he's going to be a primary ball handler his sophomore year, but whatever. But at this point, yes, LJ Cryer,
I had to change that on our rundown because Logan doesn't know the guy's name.
That's the name of an actor, I think, is RJ Kryler. Because I always do that. And I think that's where you go. I just think it makes the most sense. So
we'll get to Coach Steve's question here. Curious to see how Underwood adapts to the transfer portal world, build a team with the portal and hope they mesh well, or try and continue to do what he is doing now and what he knows. I don't know that. I think he learned a lot this year. I think he learned a lot this year by not having a. How do I want to say it? The Sky Clark situation, Jaden Epps situation, made Underwood rethink how things go. Okay, thanks, Logan.
Just want to prove my point. That's why I get the guy's name mixed up.
It's actually a link to a RJ Kryler.
He was in the Power Ranger movie.
I think Brad Underwood learned. He's adapting.
He did.
I don't know how to answer this question. I think any coach is going to have to mesh, 3 or 4 transfers every year with whatever high school recruiting class comes in and just hope they mesh. And this year it didn't work with Illinois. It just didn't work.
This is
Go ahead.
not a Brad Underwood, Illinois specific thing.
No.
This is a thing that all of college basketball is trying to figure out. Where it's hitting Brad the hardest is that he has probably seen more guard turnover than anybody else, than a lot of other teams. But this is happening everywhere. Everybody is having to figure out the right mix of how to do this, how to build from the ground up, bring in freshmen, but also filling gaps with guys that are talented transfers that can also fit your mold, fit your program. It's going to be a learning curve, I think, every step of the way. But yeah, I think Brad learned a lot this year with the freshman situation.
Yep. I just think every year, 70% of high major teams are going to have 3 or 4 transfers that come in that you're going to have to mesh with the current guys. It's just the way we're at in college basketball. Okay, the only other thing, Illini / Big Ten, Trace Jackson Davis is not using his extra COVID year. He just announced that he is going to the draft. Not surprised whatsoever. In my opinion, he was the best player in college basketball this year. Zach Edey's just tall. Trace Jackson Davis is the best player. So there's that. Illinois doesn't have to deal with Trace Jackson Davis anymore.